The studio lights at ABC's New York headquarters were still blazing. The cameras had just cut to commercial. The producers were shuffling papers, preparing for the next segment. It was a routine day in the newsroom, a typical Wednesday afternoon broadcast. And then the microphone picked up something that would change everything. I mean, come on. She's not even that good. She's only popular because she's from the Philippines. The words hung in the air like a poison cloud. The anchor leaned back in her chair, unaware that her microphone was still live. A smirk spread across her face as she continued, her voice dripping with condescension. Let's be honest. If she were American, nobody would care. It's just a sympathy story, a feel-good narrative for the developing world. The control room erupted in chaos. The producer's face went white. The director screamed into his headset, "Cut the mic! Cut the mic!" But it was too late. The damage was done. The words had already been broadcast across millions of televisions, streaming platforms, and social media feeds. Within seconds, the internet exploded. Within minutes, the phones started ringing. Within hours, the anchor's career was over. The WTA was stunned. Filipino fans were furious. The tennis world was divided. And Alex Eala, the young woman at the center of the storm, was about to discover that sometimes the most powerful response isn't a forehand or a backhand. It's the truth. Welcome to the story of a hot mic moment that shocked the world, a news anchor's career that ended in an instant, and a young champion who proved that no amount of condescension can diminish the power of a nation's pride. It was supposed to be a routine segment. ABC's midday news program was covering the remarkable rise of Alex Eala, the 21-year-old Filipino tennis sensation who had taken the sports world by storm. The segment was meant to celebrate her historic achievements, her breakthrough WTA title in Washington, her stunning Wimbledon run, her climb to a career-high world number 20 ranking. Alex Eala has become one of the most exciting young players on the WTA Tour. The anchor began, reading from the teleprompter. The 21-year-old from the Philippines has captured the hearts of millions with her incredible journey from the cracked courts of Quezon City to the center courts of the world. The segment featured highlights of Eala's victories, her stunning upset of IGA Swiatek at Wimbledon, her dominant performance against Jessica Pegula in the Washington final, the sea of Philippine flags that followed her wherever she played. The producers had done their research. They knew the story. They knew the impact. But as the cameras cut to commercial, the anchor's professionalism evaporated. "All right, that's a wrap," she said, leaning back in her chair. "Can we get some coffee in here? I am exhausted." The producers laughed. The crew relaxed. The microphones were still on. "You know," the anchor continued, "I don't get what all the fuss is about. She's not even that good. I mean, she's decent. But top 20? Really? She's only popular because she's from the Philippines." The room fell silent. The producer looked up from his notes, his eyes wide with horror. He knew exactly what was happening. The anchor's microphone was still live. Her words were being broadcast across the nation. "Let's be honest," she went on, oblivious to the disaster unfolding around her. "If she were American, nobody would care. It's just a sympathy story, a feel-good narrative for the developing world. The tennis establishment is just trying to be woke." She laughed. It was a dismissive, condescending laugh that would haunt her for the rest of her life. "Cut the mic! Cut the mic!" The director screamed. The audio feed went dead, but the damage was already done. The clip was already circulating on social media. The hashtag was already trending. The outrage was already building. Within seconds of the clip going viral, the internet erupted. Filipino fans, who had followed Eala's journey with fierce pride, were outraged. Tennis fans around the world were disgusted. The WTA was caught completely off guard. "This is absolutely disgraceful," one fan tweeted. Alex Eala has worked her entire life to achieve her dreams. She has beaten Grand Slam champions. She has made history. And this is how she's treated? By a journalist who has never picked up a racket in her life? "The arrogance is staggering," another wrote. "This anchor has no idea what it takes to compete at the highest level. She has no idea what Alex Eala has sacrificed. She has no idea what it means to represent a nation of over 110 million people." The hashtag Justice for Alex Eala began trending within minutes. Calls for the anchor's termination flooded ABC's social media channels. The network's switchboard was overwhelmed with angry calls from viewers demanding an apology and accountability. Tennis legends weighed in. Maria Sharapova, who had called Eala a star after her Wimbledon victory, was among the first to speak out. "This is what happens when ignorance meets arrogance," she wrote on social media. Alex Eala is one of the hardest working players on tour. She has earned every single victory, and she deserves respect, not condescension. John McEnroe, who had recently met with Eala in a secret mentoring session, also spoke out. "I've been in this sport for over 40 years, he said. I've seen a lot of talented players, but I've never seen anything quite like Alex Eala. She has something special, something that can't be taught. And anyone who dismisses her achievements because of her nationality is not just wrong, they're ignorant." The WTA issued a statement condemning the anchor's comments. "The WTA is proud to have players from all over the world representing our tour," the statement read. "Alex Eala is a remarkable athlete who has earned her place among the world's best through hard work, dedication, and talent. We stand with her against all forms of disrespect and discrimination." But for the anchor, the damage was already irreparable. Her career was over, and the tennis world was left to grapple with the uncomfortable truth that even in the modern era, prejudice and condescension still lurk beneath the surface. The anchor's identity was quickly revealed. She was a veteran journalist, a seasoned professional who had worked at ABC for over a decade. She had covered major stories, interviewed world leaders, and won awards for her reporting. She was supposed to be a role model for aspiring journalists. But on that fateful Wednesday afternoon, she had shown her true colors. As the backlash intensified, ABC issued a statement. "We are deeply disappointed by the comments made by one of our anchors during a recent broadcast," the statement read. "These comments do not reflect the values of our organization. We have launched an immediate investigation and are taking this matter very seriously." Within hours, the anchor was suspended indefinitely. But the calls for her termination continue to grow. The network was facing an impossible choice: stand by their employee and face the wrath of millions of outraged viewers, or cut ties and send a clear message that such behavior would not be tolerated. The anchor herself tried to apologize, but her words rang hollow. "I didn't mean to offend anyone," she said in a statement. "It was just a moment of poor judgment. I have the utmost respect for Alex Eala and her achievements. But the damage was done. Her apology was dismissed as insincere. Her career was over. The network that had once celebrated her professionalism was now distancing itself from her." ABC has parted ways with one of its leading news personalities, the network announced. Effective immediately, the anchor is no longer employed by ABC News. "We apologize to Alex Eala and to the Filipino community for the hurtful and disrespectful comments made during our broadcast." The anchor's fall was swift and total. In a matter of hours, she had gone from respected journalist to disgraced commentator. Her name would forever be associated with one of the most controversial moments in sports broadcasting history. In the midst of the firestorm, one person remained remarkably composed: Alex Eala herself. The 21-year-old Filipino sensation had been preparing for the U.S. Open when she learned of the anchor's comments. She could have responded with anger. She could have fired back with frustration. Instead, she chose grace. "I've heard a lot of things about my career over the years," Eala said in a statement. "People have doubted me. They've dismissed me. They've told me that I don't belong. But I've never let any of it stop me. Because I know who I am. I know what I've achieved. And I know that I'm representing something far bigger than myself." Her words resonated with millions of Filipinos around the world. They had experienced similar prejudice. They had been dismissed, condescended to, and underestimated. And they had found a champion in Eala, a young woman who refused to let anyone diminish her pride in her heritage. "I take so much pride in representing my country," she had said. "It makes what I do bigger than myself, and it adds meaning to what I do. Maraming salamat sa NGA Karabinet sa lahat ng Genoa Nyomula sa Washington hanggang Toronto At sa lahaing gagawin niyo pa parati, kayong sumusuport at nagdadasal. Parati kayong nagpupyat kaya tuloy-tuloy lang akong magtatrabaho para sa inyo. The Filipino community rallied behind her. Social media was flooded with messages of support. The hashtag Alex Eala Pride replaced Justice for Alex Eala. The outrage was replaced with celebration. A celebration of a young woman who had refused to let anyone diminish her spirit. She's not just a tennis player, one fan wrote. She's a symbol of everything that's good about the Philippines. She's shown the world that we can compete with anyone, that we can achieve anything, and that no amount of condescension can ever take that away from us. The controversy also forced the WTA to confront an uncomfortable truth. The organization had been slow to recognize the phenomenon that was Alex Eala. For months, Eala had been filling stadiums wherever she played. At the Australian Open, her press conference drew nearly 200,000 viewers, more than Novak Djokovic and Carlos Alcaraz combined. In Washington, tournament chairman Mark Ein had revealed that at least 80% of ticket requests were about her. In Toronto, every match she played sold out in advance. In Cincinnati, ticket prices surged by nearly 70% overnight. But the WTA had been slow to adapt. Eala's matches were still being scheduled on smaller courts. Her promotional materials were still limited. Her growing influence was still being underestimated. "We have never seen anything like this," one WTA insider admitted. "Not for Federer, not for Nadal, not for Serena. This is different. This is something else entirely." The anchor's comments had exposed a deeper truth. The tennis establishment was still struggling to recognize the value of a player who wasn't from a traditional tennis nation. Eala's success challenged long-held assumptions about where champions could come from, and that made some people uncomfortable. "I think the organizers need to keep more in mind where the players are from and what the actual fan base is here," one observer had noted. "Because there is massive Filipino audience here." The WTA's response to the controversy was a step in the right direction. The organization issued a strong statement condemning the anchor's comments. It pledged to do more to support Eala and other players from non-traditional tennis nations. But it also served as a reminder of how far the sport still had to go. The hot mic incident would eventually fade from the headlines, but its impact would be felt for years to come. The anchor's comments had exposed a deep-seated prejudice that had long lurked beneath the surface of the tennis world. They had reminded everyone that even in the modern era, racism and condescension still exist. And they had shown the world that one young woman's. Eala's response to the controversy was a masterclass in grace. She had refused to let the anchor's words define her. She had refused to let the negativity diminish her spirit. And she had continued to do what she did best: win tennis matches and inspire millions of people around the world. "I've come far, but I have still farther to go," she had said. The anchor's career was over, but Eala's journey was just beginning. She was set to compete at the U.S. Open as a seeded player, a first for any Filipino in the history of the tournament. She had secured a wild card into the mixed doubles draw alongside world number 4 Felix Auger-Aliassime. She was about to compete in the prestigious stars of the Open exhibition under the lights of Arthur Ashe Stadium. And she had the support of an entire nation behind her. "I take so much pride in representing my country," she had said. "It makes what I do bigger than myself, and it adds meaning to what I do." From the cracked courts of Quezon City, where tennis was a luxury, to the center courts of New York, where she had become the biggest draw in women's tennis, Alexandra Eala had proven that champions don't just win matches. They change the sport forever. And the news anchor who had dismissed her achievements? She had learned a painful lesson about the power of words and the resilience of a young woman who refused to be defined by anyone else's prejudice. August 2026. New York City. Flushing Meadows. The U.S. Open. The stands are filled with Filipino flags, the same sea of red, white, blue, and yellow that followed Eala from Washington to Toronto to Cincinnati and now to New York. The fans are loud, proud, and unwavering. They have traveled from across the United States, from Canada, from the Philippines itself, to witness history. Eala walks onto the court with the confidence of a champion. She has been here before. She knows what it takes to win, and she's ready to make a statement. Her opponent is a dangerous player, but Eala is not intimidated. She has faced tougher opponents, overcome greater odds, and emerged victorious. She has beaten Iga Swiatek at Wimbledon. She has beaten Jessica Pegula in the Washington final. She has beaten Zheng Qinwen, Leylah Fernandez, Alina Svitolina, and Naomi Osaka. From the very first point, Eala takes control. The crowd roars with every point, their chants echoing through the stadium. The Filipina sensation is playing like a woman possessed. The controversy, the criticism, the condescension, all of it is behind her. All that matters is the ball in front of her. The victory is sealed. Eala advances, her U.S. Open campaign off to a winning start. The crowd erupts, the flags wave, and the tennis world takes notice. After the match, Eala is asked about the anchor's comments. She smiles, her eyes filled with emotion. It's an amazing experience, she says. To have this kind of support, to have people believe in you, it means the world. She pauses, her voice trembling slightly. I take so much pride in representing my country, she continues. It makes what I do bigger than myself, and it adds meaning to what I do. Maraming salamat sa mga kababayan natin sa lahat ng ginawa niyo mula sa Washington hanggang Toronto, at sa lahat ng gagawin niyo pa. Parati kayong sumusuporta at nagdadasal, parati kayong nagpupuyat kaya tuloy-tuloy lang akong magtatrabaho para sa inyo. The crowd goes absolutely mad. Alexandra Eala has not just won a match. She has proven that the fans who have supported her through every triumph and every setback were right to believe. She has proven that she belongs among the greats. And she has proven that she is just getting started. From the cracked courts of Quezon City, where tennis was a luxury, to the center courts of New York, where she has become the biggest draw in women's tennis, Alexandra Eala has proven that champions don't just win matches. They change the sport forever. And the news anchor who had dismissed her achievements? She had learned a painful lesson about the power of words and the resilience of a young woman who refused to be defined by anyone else's prejudice. From the cracked courts of Quezon City to the center courts of New York, where she has become the biggest draw in women's tennis, Alexandra Eala has proven that champions don't just win matches. They change the sport forever. The microphone was on. The world heard the truth. And the truth was this: no amount of condescension can diminish the power of a nation's pride. The anchor was suspended, but Alex Eala, she was just getting started.